So according to the cloud. Right then, team. So main focus today, this one's for you, Paul. Lower back focus. So basically we're going to be working all around the kind of areas around the lower back, try and kind of loosen that off a little bit, ease any tightness kind of around that area. So if you get low back pain or any tightness, hopefully this should help kind of ease the area. One thing that I mentioned to Paul last week, you guys may have heard this, that usually the bad back or bad lower back doesn't usually come from a bad lower back. It usually comes from kind of tightness in other areas, poor like daily posture, poor kind of movement patterns, which then causes to transfer kind of weight into the lower back. So we're focusing on just loosening that up today, but just bear in mind that majority of the time when anyone gets lower back pain, it's not coming from the lower back. It can be tightness in the thoracic at the top. It can be tightness in the hips at the front, maybe tightness in the hamstrings. It may be just that we haven't got the movement kind of mechanics in some of our lifting, and then it gets transferred into other areas. So just bear that in mind. Whenever you get lower back pain, majority of the time it's not from the lower back. So our test today, there's no kind of like real test and retest that's going to show a dramatic change. It's more of a feeling more than anything. So we're going to hit a couple of squats, we're going to hit a couple of lunges and some twisting, just try and kind of focus on how the lower back feels now. So then once we've loosened it off, we'll hit those again, and then we'll see how loose it feels after that. So if I show you these first. So main focus is trying to see like how this feels. So we're going to hit a couple of squats, see if that's putting any pressure onto the lower back. We're going to hit a couple of lunges because sometimes the hips can get tight, and if the hips get tight, it causes to arch in the back here. So I'm going to hit a couple of lunges, see if our hips feel tight, see if the lower back feels tight. We're going to hit a couple of twists as well, see if any of the twisting movement feels tight. Then we're also going to just do a couple of good mornings, see if like the hamstrings kind of feel tight and if that's affecting the lower back as well. So when you're ready, stand it up. Again, all of these I'm trying to look for tightness in maybe either the lower back or in another area that may be affecting the lower back. So starting off, just give me 3 squats, little pause in the bottom, see if anything's feeling particularly tight. You might feel a little bit of tightness in the quads or even the glutes. And that can sometimes transfer up into the lower back. You might find that with these movements, you might get tightness on one side of the lower back and maybe not the other side. Let's go into some lunges next. See if your hips are maybe feeling a little bit tight, or again, your quads. What you may find, if your hip is tight, you might find that you start arching slightly into the lower back. Hit some standing twists next. See if that feels tight at all around the lower back. Hit me some good mornings. So you might feel a little bit of tightness in the hamstrings. So for me, I feel tightness in the right side, and that runs up into my lower back. And then lastly, so when you try and keep your rib cage pulled down, I just want you to take your arms up above your head. What I want you to think about here is as you take your arms up, see if this is wanting to make your lower back start to round. As you can see for me, like my shoulders and upper back's very tight, so I can sometimes excessively overarch the lower back. So just feel if that overhead position feels a little bit tight as well. Okay, cool. So we'll come back and we'll retest all of these again at the end and see if this kind of loosens that off a little bit. So our warm-up for today is going to be forward lunges, good mornings, air squats, and body twists. So very similar to the test that we hit. We're just going to get some blood pumping in all those areas. So same as usual, it's going to be our Tabata. So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest between these. Jump up onto your feet. Okay, there you go. So first one is going to be forward lunges. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Make these nice long lunges. As you do this, keep the rib cage pulled down so we're not arching into that lower back. And rest. Next will be good mornings. So we're going to cross the arms across the chest. Kind of a slight bend in the knee. Just going to lean this forward. Again, try and keep the body as straight as possible, not around the back. Good. Take it as far as mobility will allow you to go. Don't need to force it anywhere past that. 2, 1, and relax. Air squats next. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So with the air squat, if you're tight in the thoracic spine, you might feel that as you try and keep your chest up, you get pain in the lower back. And relax. Yeah, if you're really tight in the upper back, as you try and lift those arms up or get the chest up, that's where it can transfer to that lower back. Next, just some body twists. So just twisting from side to side. Ooh, clicked. That's lovely. Ooh, again, hear that. Good, and relax. And go back to the lunges next. So again, you might feel tight in the hips and the and the quads. Right, let's go. Keep that rib cage pulled down. And relax. Good mornings next. Good morning. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So as you do this, you might feel a little bit of tightness in the hamstrings. You might even feel it on one hamstring. And this may be one of the areas that may put pressure on the low back. Good, and relax. Air squats again next. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Three, 2, 1, and relax. And the last one is going to be body twists. 3, 2, 1, let's go. So try and keep your feet planted, point the toes forward where we can. Three, 2, 1, and relax. Okay then guys, so the mobs that we're going to be hitting today, even though like at the beginning I mentioned that low back pain usually comes from other areas, all of the mobilizations that I'm giving you today is to work into the low back pain to ease pain. If, say for example, if we were doing weighted squats and that put pain into lower back, all these mobilizations you'll be able to use to just try and loosen that area back off again. So our first one will be the low back smash. Then we're going to work into a muscle called the QL. Then we're going to work into the obliques, and then we're going to finish in the glutes. So the first one is going to be a low back smash. So this can be either with a double ball, if you've got a double ball, or this can be with your roller, totally up to you. This is how the low back smash should look. So whether you're using the roller or whether you're using the double ball, I'm going to place it into the low back. So the low back is here, just above like the hip bone. So right into that lumbar. Place that into the low back. Feet are out in front. Your hips are going to be elevated ever so slightly. And from here, you can do small pressure waves just to find any tight area in the lumbar. But the main way that we try and loosen off this lower back is dropping the knees to the side. So you can hold the ball if you need to, knee to the side, and then back up. Move it ever so slightly with the hands, knee to the side, back up. We can do that with the roller as well. Same thing. Roller goes into the lower back. Keep your ribcage pulled down. Get into a tight position, and then just rock the knees from the middle off to the side. So we're going to do 2 minutes focusing on the left side. Then we'll do 2 minutes focusing on the right side. So get the ball or the roller into position. I'll use a ball. 2 minutes going on the clock. Now. Okay, so ball into that lumbar. You can use your hand to hold it if needed. And then from here, feet or knees, we're just going to drop off to the side and then back up. Drop off to the side and back up. That's it. You can pressure wave, so pressure wave move up and down to an area that feels tight. Remember, we're focusing on the lumbar, which is just above the hip bone. As you drop these knees off to the side, just nice and slow, doesn't need to be too fast. Again, you may find that it feels a little bit tighter near the hip bone. Some people might feel a little bit tighter just under the thoracic. So this is a great one if your lower back gets really, really tight. What you normally see is people will like chuck the roller underneath and they'll just try and pressure wave up and down. But this is how we should be really attacking the lower back. We let those knees go down as low as they will go. Small pressure wave into a slightly different area, see if that's any tighter. But we're staying above that hip bone. Gonna go. That's 2 minutes. Switch other side now. So start dropping the knees over to the opposite direction. Small pressure waves up and down, just to try and find that tight area. As soon as you find the tight area, then you can start dropping the knees to the side. And that can be like big drops, or if it's particularly tight, it can just be a small kind of like drop in and out. For me personally, this side is a lot tighter. I really feel it into my lower back on the right side. The right side of my lower back seems to be much tighter than my left. So just be wary of that as well. You might have one side of your lower back much tighter than the other. So that might mean that in another area, the body you're particularly tight and is putting pressure on the right side rather than the left. So for me personally, I know that I'm really tight in my right hamstring. And then usually if my right hamstring is particularly tight on a certain day, I'll start to get back pain on the right side. If you find a particularly tight spot as well, you can just hold it there. You don't have to oscillate in and out. I forgot to mention that you can also use contract and relax as well. So if it's particularly tight, try and tense up that lower back, squeeze, big deep breath in, and then breathe out and try and relax. Three, two, one, and relax. Okay, so that's how we would mobilize the lower back. Next, we're going to work into a muscle called the QL. So the quadratus lumborum. Sounds like a Harry Potter spell. So the QL, if we look at our hip bone at the top, we've done this one before. It's that muscle that's just slightly off to the side. It kind of comes diagonally across top of the hip bone up into the spine. So it's above the hip bone, off into the right hand side. So this is, if we say our lower back is in the middle, the quadratus lumborum is just off to the side of the lower back. So for this one, I'm going to go onto my side ever so slightly. It'll be just above the hip bone. And then from here again, I can pressure wave, small circles. I can drop the knees down ever so slightly. And back. You'll know once you've hit it because it'll feel very, very tight into this quadratus lumborum. So again, you can use the ball for this, single ball this time probably, or we can get the roller into that position. So if you use the roller, what we've done before is we started on the glute, we took our bum to the floor, we put our weight onto our elbow, and then from here, that's where you'll be able to feel that quadratus lumborum. I've done small pressure wave, or I can like move those knees in and out, and then focused on trying to loosen off that tight spot. So into position. Grab your ball, grab your roller. That's it. Drop your bum to the floor. Come on, your weight onto the elbow. And then start flossing those knees in and out. Small pressure waves or small circles. 2 minutes on the clock. Guys, I'm just going to try and find you a picture as you do this so you can see kind of what we're aiming for. Okay then guys, so while you're pressure waving, just looking, you should be able to see this now. So again, this is from behind you, have your like spine down the middle, we have our hip bone, and then that quadratus lumborum is a muscle just off to the side of the spine and the lower back. So it connects from the hips up into like just underneath the ribs, kind of where that spine is at the top. So this is the kind of area that we're trying to aim for as we pressure wave. Let me see if I can find you another photo. So this one will be from the front. You can see that this is the hip bone from the front, and then you've got the spine, and the quadratus lumborum is just off to either side of the hips, or of the spine, sorry. We swap over on the side. So again, I'm just taking that just above the hip bone, put my weight onto my elbow, and I can just do small pressure waves. Drop the knees to the side ever so slightly. So again, try close to the hip bone, try closer to the ribs. My QL is a little tighter close to my rib bone rather than towards the hip bone. So try and work your way up slightly as well. So we've got 40 seconds left on this side. There we go. Also, once you find that position, the more that we start to drop the other shoulder back to the floor, you'll be able to increase the pressure in this QL. Again, for me, I'm particularly tight on my right side compared to my left. Good, relax. So next we're going to work into the oblique muscles. So the oblique muscles are the muscles that come on the side, up from the hip bone, up into the ribs. So for this one, you may want to grab a roller for this one. So we're going to start on our side. I'm going to take the roller up the hip bone. I can pressure wave up and down on the side of these obliques. And then from here, keeping the feet in position, I'm just going to try and seesaw chest to the floor and then chest back. Move down a little bit, take it close to the rib bone, seesaw forward, seesaw back, take it close to the hip, forward, back. But the oblique muscles are, let's say this is the hip bone, just say this is the rib bone, it's this side muscle in between the two. So what I'm trying to do is pressure wave, oh, there's my roller. Right here, side to side like this, from the ribs down to the hip. So into position. Again, I'll try and find you a bit of a photo as well to show you when you guys start. You can use a ball as well, but I recommend starting on the roller. So take it onto your side. Okay, 2 minutes, starting now. As it goes, so if you can see this on your screen, your oblique muscles are these muscles here. So hip bone, rib bone, and the obliques are the muscles that go down either side of the body. So you got it on the left, you got it down the right, and we're trying to pressure wave across that. So these are our oblique muscles that we're trying to loosen up. This connects down into the hips and into the slightly into the lower back. So that's what we're doing when we put this ball or this roll on the side. We're trying to work those oblique muscles from the hip bone to the rib, and then working across them, rocking backwards and forwards. If you want to increase the pressure, or if you've got a ball, you can put your arm out straighter, and that's going to increase the pressure or allow you to get in a little deeper. Again, keep searching for different areas, keep trying close to the hip bone, then move back up to the ribs. Three, two, one. Other side. So starting underneath the hip, ribs, taking it forward, taking it back. That's it, really take your chest towards the ground. You're almost coming onto your stomach in places as well. So we're almost coming onto the stomach here, and then back. Got 1 more minute on this side. So again, if your back gets particularly tight, or if it's been tight after an exercise session, these are great exercises just to try and loosen it back off again. Ease some of the pressure, ease some of the pain that you may get. Three, two, one, and relax. And then the last one that we're going to go into today is going to be the glutes, because the glutes can get super tight, especially if you spend a lot of time sat down during the day, which can then affect our lower back. So you can do this with a roller. If you really, really want to, you can do this with a ball. But basically, what we're going to do is sit on the roller and take one leg on top of the other. And I'm going to lean towards the hand on the floor. I can pressure wave like up and down until I find a tight spot. I can take my knee to the ground and back to the middle. I can take the knee to the ground and then pressure wave. Knee to the middle and then pressure wave. And then if you find a particular tight spot, we can use our contract and relax, where we try and squeeze the bum as hard as we can. Big deep breath in, hold, and then try and relax the bum as we breathe out. So we can do this with a roller. If you want to get particularly deep, we can grab the ball as well. And we can do this on the ball. Ooh, ooh, crazy. Okay, so again, 2 minutes each side. Let's go. So sit on your ball or sit on your roller. Take one leg top of the other. And start working into those glutes. So if you're using a ball, you can do little circles as well. Take them. Ooh, ooh. Who's using a ball? Put your hand up so I can see. You guys love the pain. Yeah, try rocking the knee in different positions as well, taking the knee to the floor and then pressure waving. That's 1 minute. You can go down to the elbow as well if you want to. Just be prepared for that. 30 seconds left on this side. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1. Change sides. Of a cheek. So again, you take the leg, top of the other one. If it's intense, you can put a leg on the floor. Small pressure circles, pressure waves. You can go to the hand if it's intense. You can go to the elbow, you can lean it back to get a little deeper. And we can contract and relax by squeezing the bum. Big deep breath in and then breathing out. Trying to relax as much as possible on this ball. This one's making me sweat. "30 seconds left. Yeah, and make sure that as we do this, we're taking nice big deep breaths and not holding the breath. We're not doing like little short breaths either. Nice big deep breaths to allow us to relax. 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Ooh. Okay. So next, we'll go back and we'll just test some of those movements that we tested at the beginning. So we'll try a few squats, we'll try a few lunges, we'll try a few hip hinges. Just being very wary of like how the lower back's feeling. Is it feeling any looser? Try some twists, so try some hinges. Try some twists. So for me personally, I'm feeling a lot looser there. Try some lunges. Try some good mornings. Try taking the arms up. Cool. How's that feeling, Paul?
Really good. The lower back smash and the QLs were incredibly painful.
Yeah, so, but especially like if we sat down again a lot during the day, they can get like super tight.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was really good.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, if you do find that you get a bit of back pain or it gets particularly tight, this is just a good way to try and like loosen those muscles back up again. Like I mentioned at the beginning, usually the kind of pain comes from tightness in other areas, but because they're tight, it adds the pressure onto the lower back and then the lower back gets tight. So this is like a great way just to try and like loosen that back off again. But just be wary again, it may come from other areas. And usually this can be overhead. So if it's overhead, it's usually the thoracic spine. If you've got a really tight upper back, that then puts the pressure into the low back. So if you think pressing overhead or even going down into the bottom of the squat, if you're trying to exaggerate by lifting the chest up, if the thoracic's tight, it's going to put all the pressure on the lower back there as well. So sometimes this is why people get kind of back pain from squats. Hips is another one. If we sat down a lot during the day and the hips get tight, if you try and open up the hip here, sometimes because it gets so tight, it doesn't allow us to open, so we end up arching the back instead. So if your hips are super tight, this is where we can get low back pain. If the hamstrings are tight here, it doesn't allow us to hinge forward properly. So if you think deadlifts, and then the only way that can get close to the floor is by like rounding the back, there's another reason like how the lower back can get tight. So it just shows that usually that lower back will become painful or tight from other movement patterns that we do. Cool. So, and that can be tight area, or that can be just not having the movement mechanics or technique. So just bear that in mind. Think about when you get lower back pain next, what movements are you doing that may be causing that pain? But in that way, we can make a note of it, come away, grab our rollers, grab our balls, and focus on our thoracic spine or our hips or our hamstrings.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay then, guys, have a great day. And hopefully I'll see you all Thursday.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.